Welcome to our episode of Barman Saturdays, and this week I decided to take a look at Luke and Lucy, the Texas Rangers, whose characters, are based on a classic comic strip that started in 1945. And I have to admit, I imagine one of the biggest reasons this film flopped was the fact that it takes these classic characters and turns it into a 3D animated film. Like, why? Just look at them. They look awful. This is horrifying. They look like monsters or something. Who thought that was a good idea? Just looking at these character designs makes me go, can we make this 2 dimensions? Can we just do a classic, 2-dimensional looking film? Sure, it will look dated, but, parents that, are fans of the series aren't going to want to take their kids to it if it doesn't look, like they'd want it to look like, because let's face it, we're relying on parents to take their kids to, a film based on an old comic book series that they probably grew up with or read in the papers. So, we need these characters to look more appropriate, It kind of reminds me, I saw some still images, on the back of a box for a 3D animated, Popeye the Sailor Man movie. And I was thankful when I opened that up, I was at a Goodwill when I found that one. And the disc was, scratched to bejeebus, okay? And I'm just like, you know what, I'm thankful. I don't have to buy this and then talk about it on YouTube. Because just looking at these character designs would be enough to make me go off for hours, potentially, on rants about how they shouldn't have done this. I guess we gotta cut it short here. I don't have that long to spend on ranting about how, they should just stick to classic techniques for these classic characters. So, yeah, this film looks ugly. So, what about the contents of the film? Is that better? Well, there's where we run into a new problem. I'm not sure who this film was really aimed at. If you look at it from the perspective of an American audience, we got drugs, gunslinging, violence, and a Mexican character that's a blatant stereotype. So, it's going to upset religious conservative parents because you got all the drugs. And it's going to upset liberals because they're going to talk about how that one character, stands out like a sore thumb and is very upsetting, because it's implications for, an entire group of people. So, yeah. And then there's other stuff in there that probably upset conservatives. There's a sign that's pink, it says arrows. And we can all guess what's probably going on there. Because it's next to a CD bar. So, yeah. And then there's the jokes in there that are probably meant to be, to keep the parents entertained. Making a reference to Terminator.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Gracias.
To the Matrix. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I'm a bad girl. That's what they say. Just because I sing all night and sleep all day. I'm a bad girl. But my heart's not made of wood. Want some sweet loving, daddy, come and make me be good.
Which feels like the oddest of those three, because it's the oldest film, by far, they're making a reference to. And then, there's some parents that might be upset about the cartoony violence that's on display, because it feels like sometimes, you're in an old Tom and Jerry cartoon or something, with how characters tend to mostly just shrug off, explosions or falls in this movie.
Shrink-proof. I've made the anti-shrinking powder 100 times stronger. It should restore you to your previous dimensions, if not more.
Whatever, Doc. Just pour it.
Ready?
So, yeah, it just feels like is it meant for an older adult audience? We're probably going to be upset that it's in 3D instead of 2D animation. Is it meant for kids, but then it contains content a lot of parents would argue is just inappropriate for small children? So you'd have to aim it at an older audience that probably is not going to enjoy the cartoony violence because they'd want something a bit more mature when it comes to what happens to the result, of falling off a ladder from like 3 stories up. So, yeah, I just don't know where this movie falls in terms of what demographics it was aiming for. This doesn't seem to really appeal to anyone, for the most part. So, yeah. If you like this film, more power to you. There's definitely bits and pieces in here that, I enjoyed.
Hey, that's my gun! And that gun's not loaded. Hey, stop! Or I'll shoot! Stop! I said stop!
Hey, did you just knock? Come on, get inside.
Night, Bill.
On their own, but as a whole package, it's just like I had to take multiple breaks watching this film because I'm getting bored. I need to stand and stretch my legs and toss my tennis ball here a bit, and think about something else for a few moments. Listen to some commentary on, recent news, or listen to some music from, some of my favorite bands, just to take a break from the movie because I'm bored and I don't know when the next good joke's gonna pop up. So, yeah, this is kind of one of those films that, I just say just forget about it. If you see it, just keep on walking, because you're probably not going to enjoy it. Like I said, there's a small audience that probably does enjoy it, but it's small. It's sort of like, Howard the Duck. There are people out there that enjoy it for how awful it is, but it's not something that most people are going to, want to openly admit or associate with, because it's not a generally good film, in the eyes of most people. And that's the case with this. I mean, the fact it killed an entire franchise of movies kind of says a lot, doesn't it?
And it's non-stick.